Hi,
Hi, how are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Almost to the end.
Yes. Do you have big plans this weekend?
Um, I'm getting my nails done with my mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. A girl's day.
Yeah. We've been meaning to go. Like, we got her a gift card for the nail salon for Mother's Day, and we've been
Oh,
like
that's so
postponing it. We're finally.
nice. Oh, it's gonna
Uh,
be such a beautiful.
okay. I hope the rain ends. It's been raining a lot here.
Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we kind of missed the smog that was supposed to come down from Canada, I think.
Uh,
So hopefully it'll open up a nicer weekend.
okay. So we can get started.
Yeah, hi,
Hi, everyone.
hi everyone.
Welcome to the Act to Changes Instagram Live. So for those who don't know me, my name is Tanarika. I'm a rising senior in high school based in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I'm also the president of the Asian American Progressive Student Union, and we're focused on promoting racial and student equity within the Asian American community. And today we are here with a very special guest, LGBTQ activist Daniel Martin. Hi. He
Hi.
is the global director of artistry and education at Tatcha and has been a huge supporter of Act to Change and also an inspirational leader to beauty and promoting self-love. So thank you so much for joining us here for
Oh
Act to
my
Change's celebration of Pride.
It's my honor. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yep. So I think we'll just start off with like some questions. So going right into it, what was your journey with being LGBTQ plus and also being Asian American as well?
Oh, it's like a trick question,
Yeah.
actually. And I was thinking about that too because they're kind of similar in the same way in terms of the challenges. So it's a two-parter. I'm just gonna make it really quick, but growing up gay, I have to say that growing up gay in the 90s was definitely different than it is now.
Mhm.
When I was discovering my sexuality in the early 90s, I also was dealing with the AIDS epidemic and the stigma around that. So, as I was discovering my sexuality, there was just no way for me to share that information, just because at the time there was just so much stigma, there was so much um, just uncertainty about what was going on and what it was doing to the gay community that it just scared me literally in the closet. So I didn't really come out until I would say probably like in my early 20s, mid 20s possibly, to my family.
Mhm.
um, and being Asian American and gay, that was just not a thing back then. You just
Yeah.
never talked about it. So it was a struggle, to be honest. And, now, being almost 50, I feel like I can't even imagine what your generation must be going through or seeing what is trying to hold you down, because I feel like now is the time to be out and proud and loud. But at the same time, there's so much happening in the country with women's rights, gay rights. Um, it's just a daunting thing. So, yeah,
I feel
now
like
is the time to speak up.
yeah. I feel like each generation's like has like something that's like holding them back from like being very expressive, and this
Yeah.
time it's like politically it's like people are trying to bring different communities down. Um, but thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
no.
I guess about going through like the AIDS epidemic and being trying to like navigate through that. So could you share on possibly some of your experiences and insights regarding the epidemic and how it impacted you on your life or like the loss of people that you knew?
Yeah, so at the time it was the early 90s, and it was kind of, people were calling it the gay cancer. And as I was going, or as the world was discovering that, and I was discovering my sexuality, it just made me a bit more scared to be sexually active.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was kind of a late bloomer, to be honest, with my experiences with with guys. And there was just so much stigma around it. But I
Mhm.
did have a friend that I kind of knew just from going out to the clubs and stuff. And he was Chinese descent. And I remember he was homeless and because his parents kind of threw him out of the house. And then I later found out that he got, really heavy into drugs because of the mental health challenges that he was dealing with. And then he eventually passed away of complications to AIDS. So I think at the time, it just really scared a lot of us who didn't know. I mean, again, I can't stress enough how different that time was
Mhm.
versus now. Um, and now you have all this medication, and it's just a different time. So um, it's it's hard to think about, but at the
Mhm.
same time, we've made such progress that we have to focus on that. But we still have to, really understand and realize where we came from.
Of course, yeah. And we have people like you who are allowing us to have such progress within the LGBTQ community. So really admire you for that.
Thank you. I mean, it took a long time to find this courage, though,
Oh,
I have to admit.
yeah. So talking about courage and bringing that progress, what do you feel like is the meaning of pride and even allyship to you?
Oh gosh, so I had the really awesome opportunity to celebrate Pride with Madam Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday, and one thing that she noted in her speech with us was that we have to understand what passing the baton actually means. She's like, yes, we need to celebrate and we can celebrate Pride, but know that the ones who came before us are passing the baton to further education, further empathy, make people realize that this needs to be passed on to really resonate change. And for us to really understand what it means to celebrate. You can celebrate, but the work is also there. So
Mhm.
as we celebrate Pride, we also have to do the work, move, all year long.
Yeah.
June is just 1 month, but there's so much work ahead of us that needs to happen.
Like celebrating, but also like taking action on what we're.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And you're in the beauty world, so what does pride mean within the workplace?
Oh, pride within the workplace. It was interesting when we talked about this question because it's having your sexuality reflect in your work is kind of like a cool thing hand in hand in my world.
Mm-hmm.
People are suspicious if you're not gay in beauty. So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate that I can, be myself in
Mm-hmm.
this environment. And, and I feel like as the world opens up and the world understands that, your sexuality doesn't define who you are and what you do, will it not be a thing? Um, it was interesting yesterday while I was at the vice president's house, we
Yeah.
had to line up to get in, and there was someone from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the detailed security guys, who's like totally machismo, has the art, like the security gear on. He went up to one of the, I don't remember who it was, but he went up to the person and was like, my husband and I watch your show, and thank you so much for what you do. And we were all kind of taken back because here's this guy who's holding a gun, who's in military gear, and he's just like, me and my husband love your show. So it was really cool to just kind of see that and to hear that and realize that your sexuality doesn't define who and what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Completely agree with that. I saw those photos from the vice president's like celebration. It looked really fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and she couldn't have been more gracious, and it was such a great crowd, and everybody were there was just so just nice, and yeah, it was such an honor to be there.
I'm so glad. But the next question I have for you is you talked about how you're able to really express your sexuality within the workplace, but do you ever feel like there were any like specific challenges within the beauty industry, and like how did you personally like overcome them?
Um, I think, earlier in my career, there were microaggressions
Hmm.
more about my background and my race rather than my sexuality.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, as you move through any kind of job,
Yeah.
you don't want that to be a hindrance of your progression in the work with the work that you do. And I feel like, you know, you have to ask. If you don't know, you have to ask, whether it's how to pronounce someone's name, their
Hmm.
last name. You need to ask these questions because you look more, excuse my French, you look more, like an asshole, assuming rather than just asking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
No.
you, yeah, you have to just ask and they'll graciously want to tell you.
Yeah.
Um, or find the courage to stand up for yourself and say that something makes you uncomfortable, or this doesn't make you feel good.
I think those microaggressions like definitely continue for Asian Americans, like even like in school, like making sure that like teachers know who you are.
Yeah,
And I've like had that so many times, and many of my friends as well. So it's something that we need to keep working on to avoid those kind of aggressions.
yeah, 100%.
So you work in global equity at Tatcha. So how do you think that role further advances global equity for both the LGBTQ plus and the Asian American communities?
Global equity. We work with an organization called Room to Read, which is low income communities around the world. And Room to Read will go in and build schools, help support with educational needs. Um, and what's so great about this organization is that they're really starting at, you know, the, you know,
The base.
the base, children.
Hmm.
And children, illiteracy. So building that awareness, building that courage to, there's a lot of these communities where the children spend hours getting to their destination of learning.
Hmm.
And if we can create a school that's much closer, that'll be just as much beneficial for that community as time goes on. So having being partnered with that organization is incredible. um, but I feel like that's just one step, you
Hmm.
know and I really feel like beauty truly starts from within. It's not aesthetic, it's beauty on the inside. And once you feel comfortable in your own skin, do you then have the courage and the confidence to kind of share that with the rest of the world?
I agree. That was really beautifully said. Um, I think my like one last is how do you use beauty to promote self-love and equity? I know you kind of are involved in various sections of that, but like encompassing all your advocacy efforts, and how do you like use beauty for that reasons?
Gosh, it's interesting because I feel when I tell my assistants and I tell my team, there's we can create beauty on the face, but so much of so much true beauty really comes from inside. And again, I can't stress this enough. You, when you're comfortable on the inside and you're comfortable
Mhm.
with yourself, there's just something that comes through that completely can change the way that you physically look. And
Mhm.
so much of it is about how one makes someone else feels. So, you know, there's so many times where you can have the most beautiful person, but they don't feel it.
Yeah.
And when someone and and beauty is confidence.
Mhm.
As much as it might sound trite, it's just, when you're confident on the inside,
It shows.
it shows and it really permeates.
Mhm.
It's crazy, but it really does permeate. And there's this energy that happens. So I tell everybody, like, figure out what it is that makes you feel good, because once you feel good, everything else is just easier.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it takes a long time for someone to discover that.
It is a long process. I feel like everyone's
Yeah,
on their own journey finding that.
yeah.
Um, I have two fun questions for you now.
Awesome.
What is your skincare routine? Like, what are the tips? Like,
What, say that again. I'm so sorry you cut out.
you're completely fine. What is your skincare routine?
Oh gosh, my skincare routine. I actually have really super sensitive skin.
Me too.
Like I had cystic acne as a kid. I've always been really self-conscious about my skin.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, like I hate like going to the gym. I avoid the mirrors. I can't work out in front of a mirror. I just have this thing. I just don't,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my own shit that I have to deal with. But yeah, I've had super sensitive skin my entire life. Like right now, because of my allergies, I'm having this really crazy, they call it skin writing,
Mm-hmm.
where I can just brush up against something and I just break out in
Oh
hives.
my God.
Yeah, so I am super, super diligent about what I use. And I have to say that, and I don't want to sound cliche, but one of the reasons why I love Tatcha so much is because it changed my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you have to find what works for you. It's a journey and it's an expensive journey, unfortunately. But once you find that thing, you have to stick with it. And
Mm-hmm.
anybody who's going through hormonal changes, high school was the worst for me with my skin. Just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And now there are so many incredible products that will target acne and hormonal cystic acne that you just have to, do the research and find the ones that work for you. But back in the 80s, there's nothing but clear selling. It was just so toxic for your skin.
Uh,
What about you? What do you use on your skin?
I've had acne, eczema. Like, it's just been such a, like, if I like opened a drawer with just like a bunch of medication and products that I'd no longer use, I was like, this is a lot of money right here. But
Yeah,
things are working somewhat. The Kiehl's for me is game changing.
yeah,
That's like the
it's
looking for.
oh good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's crazy because there's like at your age, so much of it is about targeting to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
When what I learned early on was really find out what the cause
Yeah.
is. And that's, diet, sleep, stress. My gosh, I can't even imagine the amount of stress that you guys are dealing with now.
Thing.
Getting out of COVID and school and just everything around you,
Yeah.
that's enough to trigger a huge breakout on anybody's skin.
Yeah.
So just kind of take the time and assess. But once you do find that thing that fixes your skin, just be loyal to it.
Yeah. I think another is like kind of ties back to like how like beauty comes from within. I feel like taking care of your like internal well-being, like not having
Yeah.
as much, being able to take care of yourself. Like for me, I like anytime like I see myself like actually getting 8 hours of sleep, I'm like, it shows. Like there's less acne. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, for me too. If I get enough sleep, the bags underneath my eyes don't look as bad. Yeah, it's just certain things that, really do affect your skin.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it too is environmental.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. And then I think my last question for today, and this is me speaking like from like a fangirl thing. I was looking at your page and I realized that you're Yo-Yo's makeup artist. How is it like working with her? I'm like the biggest fan, and I'm
I'm so sorry you cut out. Who? Which one? Who?
Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, Michelle. She's my heart. I love her so much. She's one of the most incredible, kindest people I've ever met. Like, you know how sometimes when you meet someone and you just instantly connect? And that's how it was with us. I met her on the Crazy Rich Asian press junket. And a
Mm-hmm.
press junket, for those that don't know, it's when the cast gets together to promote a movie. So they were in New York, and my friend Sabrina Bendrani, who's based in LA, she has been working with Michelle for like 20 years. She was like, Michelle's looking for a New York makeup artist. I think you guys will get along great. I'm going to introduce you to. And then when she did, it was like the best gift ever. She's the most amazing woman. She's had the most prolific career, and she's like so down to earth and so kind, always wants to feed you, always wants to make sure that you're fed, very Asian, which is amazing. um, but it's so nice to be able to work with someone who can take care of you as much as you take care of them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like when you find that person, you just instantly connect. And I'm just so fortunate to call her my friend. And she's just so kind. So yeah, it's amazing. I just saw this question. How's it working with Duchess Megan? Megan's been my great friend for almost 15 years, and we've known each other. Yeah, I knew Megan before she became a wife, before she became a mother.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's an amazing woman as well.
Suits. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's when we met, was when she started Suits. So that was 13 years ago.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Any other questions? Feel
Not
free to
from
pass them on.
myself. That was like my last question. I was like, I need to be a fangirl for a
Oh.
second and ask you about the. But do you have any like last words to say for the people who are watching?
Oh gosh, last words. Active change. I wish you guys were around when I was a kid.
Mm.
I think, I found active change during the pandemic, and I was just so enthralled by the work that the organization was doing and who it was targeting. And I just really wish that if I was, your age, discovering oneself and dealing, with the bullying that I did growing up, that I had somewhere to go, because I feel like, our culture doesn't talk about sharing. It doesn't talk about talking about your feelings. And to have an organization like this where you can discreetly go and share those thoughts
Mhm.
is huge. And I think that's why now, I'm old enough to be your parent. But if I had something like this back then, I think my life would be completely different. But with that being said, there's a reason why things happen, and you learn from your experiences. And I'm just glad that I'm able to work with you guys now, and support you however I can, because I think it's such a great and beautiful organization.
Thank you. Yeah. So those were all the questions that I had, and we ended up on such a beautiful note. So thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank
Your
you so much for having me.
visibility and outspokenness means so much to the youth and to
Oh,
the
thank you.
arts. So for everyone that's tuned in right now, please check out the other Instagram lives that Active Change has put together for Pride Month, and all of them are saved on the page. And remember that together we can all end bullying. Thank you so much, Daniel, once again. It was so great meeting with you and speaking to you again.
Yeah, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This was so much fun.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. See you later.
You.